Okay. Hi. Yes.
You, in your speech tonight, you said you won't criticize or attack Hillary Clinton, certainly, but you did seem to draw some implicit contrast when you said you don't take money from super PACs and you voted against the Iraq War.
What I said is that corporate media talks about all kinds of issues except the most important issues. Okay? And time after time, I'm being asked to criticize Hillary Clinton. That's the sport that you guys like. The reason this campaign is doing well because we're talking about the issues that impact the American people. I've known Hillary Clinton for 25 years. I like her, I respect her. I disagree with her on a number of issues. No great secret. I oppose the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Okay? I want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Doesn't she?
No, not to the best of my knowledge, no. I believe I am opposed to the Keystone Pipeline. Okay, I voted against the war in Iraq. I voted against the USA Patriot Act. These are differences of opinions that we will discuss. But the issue that I want to be talking about is the collapse of the American middle class. You guys going to write about that?
Yeah.
Is that an important issue?
Please do.
The need to create millions of decent paying jobs. The obscenity of the kind of level of income and wealth inequality that we have today. The reason our campaign is doing well is because people are responding to those issues. So I am not going to get into the game of sitting around attacking Hillary Clinton. We disagree. We're going to have, if I have anything to say about it, a respectful and intelligent debate. Other questions?
Why do you think working class people in America vote against their economic self-interest?
That's a good question. And if I knew all of the complete answer to that, I'd be a lot smarter than I am. But this is what I will tell you. I think the Republicans have done a brilliant job over the years. They're very smart guys in dividing people on a million different issues. They divide people on gay marriage. They divide people on abortion. They divide people on immigration. And what my job is, and it's not just in blue states, believe me, we're going to go to red states, we're going to go to conservative states, is to bring working people together around an agenda that works for their kids and works for their parents. Raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Having a trade policy that creates jobs in America, not in China. Making sure that all of our kids can get a college education regardless of their income. Fighting for pay equity for women workers. We have an agenda that I believe can bring people together. And when we do that, we're going to win this election very easily, I think.
How do you reconcile being the anti-establishment candidate with being a career politician?
Okay, other questions?
Well, you said you were a politician. I think that's a fair question.
I've run for office I've been in office for 25 years. As a candidate for mayor of Burlington, I became the first independent ever elected in the city's history by taking on the entire ruling class of the city of Burlington. Does that sound like a career politician? When I began my political career, I received 2% of the vote and then 1% of the vote. Last election, I got 71% of the vote. Running for office, representing working people, taking on Wall Street, taking on the military-industrial complex, taking on private insurance companies, taking on pharmaceutical industry, I don't think that makes me a career politician. I think that makes me as a candidate who is standing up for working people and prepared to take on the big money interest in this country.
Your new...
From BuzzFeed UK. I was just wondering.
I'm sorry?
BuzzFeed UK. I was just wondering, are you aware of the rise of Jeremy Corbyn as the UK Labour Party candidate, and whether that's something you think you can tap into, and whether you've got a message?
Look,
for that
I
campaign?
think whether it's the UK or here in the United States, here's the answer. People are sick and tired of establishment politics. They are sick and tired of a politics in which candidates continue to represent the rich and the powerful, go out begging money from the wealthy. They are sick and tired of an economics in which almost all of the new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. And they're tired of a media which continues to want to have gotcha questions and make conflict between the candidates rather than talking about the real issues impacting the American people. And that is why I'm not familiar with what's going on daily. I am aware of the candidate. But I think that is what's going on in this campaign. The American people are saying enough is enough. Why is it that almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%? Why is it that our kids can't afford to go to college? Why is it that our child care system is dysfunctional? Why is it that we're the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all of our people who have family and medical leave? The American people want us to address those issues. They do not want us to be attacking each other. They want a focus, they want a real debate on real issues, and I intend to give it to them. Thank you very much. As I look out, it is nice to see working people flooding the nation's capital rather than the lobbyists and the big money interest. Welcome to Washington, D.C. This is your capital and not just the capital of the billionaire class. Now, what's been going on in this country for 40 years, and you all know this, there has been a war being waged against working families. And one intrinsic part of that war is one disastrous trade agreement after another disastrous trade agreement. Now, it's one thing if somebody woke up and said, you know, let's try this idea. Let's try the idea of unfettered free trade and see what happens. We tried it. It failed. No TPP. Now, they told us NAFTA was going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs. NAFTA cost us jobs. They told us that permanent normal trade relations with China is going to create millions of American jobs. It cost us millions of American jobs. And now, guess what they're telling us? Shock of all shock, they tell us that the TPP is going to create jobs and help the American worker. Well, if you believe that, there's a bridge in Brooklyn that some of you may be interested in buying. These trade agreements have been pushed by corporate America for one very simple reason, and it's a horrible reason. What they want to do is to shut down plants in America, throw American workers out on the street, and then move to China or other low-wage countries where they produce their products, and then they bring those products back into the United States. The result of all of these trade agreements has been twofold. Number one, the trade agreements themselves have cost us millions of decent-paying jobs. Since 2001, this country has lost 60,000 factories. 60,000 factories. And the young people of America don't even know that there was once a time when you could walk into a store and buy a product not made in China. What our job, the second thing that it has done, which is equally perverse, is they have put employers in the driver's seat, and they've said to unions and non-union workers, look, we got an option. Either you're going to take a pay cut or cuts in your health care, or we're going to move to China. And that's part of the race to the bottom. And the result of all of this is that the American middle class is disappearing. We have people working 50, 60 hours a week in order to take care of their families. And at the heart of all of that is this disastrous trade policies, which were written in secret by large multinational corporations. The function of these trade agreements is to make significant profits for corporate America and drive wages down in the United States of America. We are now in a pivotal moment in American history. We have more income and wealth inequality than at any time since the 1920s. 99% of all new income generated in America today goes to the top 1%. The top 1/10 of 1% owns as much wealth as the bottom 90%. And what this is about is not just trade. It is about whether this United States Congress begins to work for the middle class and working families of this country, or whether it is totally owned by billionaires and their lobbyists. And what you are here today to say representing millions of working families is enough, is enough. This Congress has got to work for the American people and not for the big money interests. Our job is not just to beat this TPP, it's to develop an agenda that works for the American people. Instead of corporations investing in China, what about the radical idea of them investing in the United States of America? What about the radical idea of creating millions of jobs by rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure? What about the radical idea of raising the minimum wage to a living wage rather than a starvation wage? What about the radical idea of making tuition free in public colleges and universities so our kids can get a decent education? What about the radical idea of asking corporations to start paying their fair share of taxes? All right. Brothers and sisters, we can do this. We can transform America when we stand together. The vast majority of the people are on our side. And what we have got to do is, the next time we come to Washington, it's not just a few thousand, it's a few million. And we make an offer to those guys that they can't refuse. That if they don't start creating jobs in America, they're going to lose their jobs. All right, let me thank the steelworkers, one of the great unions in America. Let me thank the trade union movement in this country. Let's continue to fight together to transform our society so that government begins to work for all of us and not just for a handful of billionaires. Thanks for all you're doing.